They have been part of Twins territory for as long as we can remember. Clean, white painted lines, dugout camaraderie, pinstripes, and Minnie and Paul. But how did our beloved rituals make their way to the land of 10,000 lakes?
1860 was a pivotal point in Minnesota's history. Minnesota was a state for only 2 years. Minnesota then was the first state to answer President Lincoln's call for volunteers to fight in the Civil War.
A lot of it was Civil War soldiers coming back, bringing the game back from the East Coast and teaching it that way. There may have been some before that, but that's where I think you see a big expansion of the game in the area.
There was a lot of turmoil just a couple of years later with the uprising down in the southern part of the state. Baseball brought people together. They brought communities together, back and forth, and baseball today should be like that.
Baseball today is like that.
Good rip, good rip. Finn.
Nearly 150 years later, these players are preserving the roots of their favorite pastime.
Well, it's vintage baseball. We play by the rules of 1860. Our team is called the St. Croix Baseball Club, which was an actual team in Stillwater in the 1860s, which won the state championship in 1868.
Sprinkled throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin, there are about a dozen vintage baseball clubs that travel through the Midwest to play.
We got Aces.
Most of them have an association with their local county historical society. It comes as no surprise that they highly value their club's history.
You know, for us in Red Wing, it's a baseball community, and we can trace it back to the Crescents getting started and some of the other clubs into town leagues and amateur leagues that started up that we are a part of. I know in southern Minnesota there's that strong connection. I think that's why this makes it so important. You see, that's where baseball really has been the bread and butter for those communities for so many decades that it just makes sense to keep that tradition going in a different way.
Union, Confederate.
Okay.
It's always great to preserve history. You know, we kind of forget the past and the enjoyment of seeing how it was played back then. The biggest enjoyment is just being out here on a nice, beautiful day and kidding around with all the baseball players. We take it seriously, but at the same time, we're here to have fun.
Oh! Having fun is a priority for these vintage ball players.
Good hustle. One bounce is out.
It's also plain to see that the baseball played today at Target Field holds a few differences to the game of 1860.
First of all, there's no gloves. Gloves didn't come into play until the 1870s. Pitching is underhand. Batter is out if the ball is caught on the fly or on the first bounce.
And then there's the case of the umpire. The game of 1860 was considered a gentleman's sport. Therefore, players took on the responsibility of calling themselves out.
Today, if you get a break from the umpire, you're just going to stand there and kind of chuckle. And that's not something in the old game. It's like you kind of know whether the tag touches you before your foot touches the base. So if you're out, you call yourself out. There's no calls by the umpire at all except for foul ball. That's the only thing he's required to call. And he doesn't need to get involved in a call out on the field unless the players can't agree on it. And then he'll come out and make a call. We used to have an umpire that would turn to the audience and have them vote on it, which didn't work for us very well. He was our umpire, but we were usually traveling on the road. And funny how the crowd always voted for their home team. Ooh. I mostly play this game because this is a fun way to play the game. I was in my 40s and running out on the whole softball, guys screaming and acting like kids. And in this game, you were fined a quarter if you swore, and it's almost everything I like about baseball. For me, I just want to get out on the ball field and play. It's a fast-paced game the way we play it, and that's awesome.
Drop in, go, go, go.
We go out there, we play hard, we play to win, but when the game's over with, we all get together, we have a great time together. It really shows off the gentlemanly sport of baseball as it was meant to be done.
St. Croix, 3 huzzahs for the Red Wing Crescent! Huzzah! 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 Hi guys. Good game. Good man. Good game. Nice to see you. Good game, guys.
Good game.